What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video on SAT Math from the Scalar Learning channel. And this is a series that has been requested over and over. And what it is it's me solving the easiest level of SAT math problems. We've already done a series on the hardest SAT math problems. We've already done a series on the medium level. Now here's easy. So if you are going into the test tomorrow and you want a quick rundown of the critical concepts, the basic concepts, this video is for you. Moreover, if you're at the beginning of your SAT math journey, you're just getting going, this is where you want to start, and then you can work your way up to the medium and the hard level questions as you go. Lastly, if you are taking this test tomorrow, and this is it, it's right around the corner, this is also a great way to review some of the basic concepts. You can just kind of put this on and watch it and run through all of these question types to make sure you don't make any silly mistakes. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention our amazing SAT math video course, which is on sale now. You can click the link in the description below to check it out. We have 4 incredible practice tests with custom video explanations per practice test. So that's 240 video explanations done by me and my teaching style. Moreover, this is just a monthly subscription, so you can buy and cancel anytime. So it is not only the best course out there for math SAT, but it is the best bargain by far. So go ahead and check that out if you want that extra practice and that extra edge. Without further ado, let's do it. Okay, so this is a nice plug and chug situation where we're just trying to solve for x and they give us a value for k. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in, and we got x minus 1 over 3 equals 3. So you see I'm just replacing the k with 3, and then we're going to use variable isolation to solve. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, boom, boom. That cancels out, and I get x minus 1 equals 9. Last but not least, we're going to add 1 to both sides. Boom, and x equals 10. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy, just good old algebra. Done. For I equals square root of negative 1, what is the sum of 7 plus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i? This is imaginary numbers, and you just want to treat that I as a variable in this case. Nothing crazy. So these parentheses aren't doing much because there's no minus sign here, so I'm going to remove those like so. 7 plus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i. Then I'm going to combine like terms. 7 plus negative 8 is negative 1. 3i plus 9i is 12i. That means A is the winner. Done. On Saturday afternoon, Armand sent M text messages each hour for 5 hours, and Tyrone sent P text messages each hour for 4 hours. Which of the following represents the total amount of messages sent by Armand and Tyrone on Saturday afternoon? So Armand sent M text messages every hour. So if that was 1 hour, it would be M. If it was 2 hours, it'd be 2M. But in this case, it's 5 hours, so it's 5M. And Tyrone sent P messages every hour. Again, if it was 1 hour, that'd be P, 2 hours, 2P. In this case, it's for 4 hours, so it's 4P. And we want the total number of messages by both. So all I got to do is add them together. And since there's no like terms, we can't combine them. We just leave them separated and we're good to go. 5M plus 4P, boom, done. Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week, she receives a batch of phones that need repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with the equation P equals 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What is the meaning of the value of 108 in this equation? There's a lot of words in this question, a lot of things to break down, but the most important thing is this nice equation here. And what type of equation is it? It is linear because there's no exponents. And we got 2 critical pieces to a linear equation. We've got the y-intercept, which is the constant, and then we've got this value, which is the slope, aka the rate of change. They're not asking about that. They're asking about the 108, which is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is always your starting value, your initial value. So let's take a look at the answer choices. Kathy will complete the repairs within 108 days, but this is a starting value of number of phones. It's a y-intercept relating to this y value, aka the p value. So this one doesn't make sense. Kathy starts each week. Again, starts. That's a nice word there because we're talking about initial value. With 108 phones to fix. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's my initial value each week is 108, and every day it looks like 23 are being chopped off. So B looks great. Again, now they're talking about with C as a rate for that, but this is a intercept, y-intercept, so that doesn't make sense. And again, we see rate there, no good. B is the winner, done. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? So all we're doing here is we're combining like terms, but the most important part here is that minus sign, because there's parentheses here, and that means we have to distribute it like so. So I'm going to rewrite the first part without parentheses because there's nothing to distribute, so those parentheses are essentially irrelevant. We got x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared. Now I'm going to rewrite this part with the minus distributed. So that makes a positive x squared y, a negative 3xy squared, and a positive 3y squared, right? I'm flipping those signs. Okay. Now we need to combine like terms, and this are like terms. This and this are like terms, and this are like terms. Again, because the variables all match up. Okay, so x squared y plus x squared y makes 2x squared y. These guys are opposites in the blue, so they cancel out. And then 5xy squared minus 3xy squared is 2xy squared, which means C is the winner. Done. John runs at different speeds as part of his training program. The graph shows his target heart rate at different times during his workout. On which interval is the target heart rate strictly increasing than strictly decreasing? When they say increasing, what they're talking about is a positive slope, okay? So something like this would be a positive slope. Strictly decreasing would be a negative slope like that, slanted down from left to right. We can see right here for option B, 40 to 60 minutes is great because we've got strictly increasing and then strictly decreasing, and that's it. B is the winner. Done. If y equals kx, where k is a constant, and y equals 24 when x equals 6, what is the value of y when x equals 5? So we start off with this really nice equation, and we're going to do a little plug and chug. So they said y equals 24 when x equals 6. So check it out. Now what can I do? I got a single variable that I can isolate and solve for, so why not? Let's divide by 6, boom, boom, and we get k equals 4. That's terrific. Now I can plug this back into my original equation. I can say y equals 4x, because I know that k equals 4 now. Then it says, what is the value of y when x equals 5? Well, guess what? I'm just going to plug in 5 for x here. Y equals 4 times 5, which is 20. That is the winner. C, done. In the figure above, lines L and M are parallel, so I'm going to mark those as parallel. And lines S and T are parallel, so I'll mark those as parallel as well. Sweet. If the measure of 1 is 35 degrees, what is the measure of angle 2? So what I like to do in geometry problems like this is treat it like a puzzle, and we're just going to kind of step through and fill in what I can fill in. So I know that this angle is 35. Well, guess what? This angle here is going to be supplementary to that because it's on a straight line. So supplementary to 35 is 145. Awesome. So if I know this is 145, guess what? This is also 145 because these are corresponding angles, and that happens when they're both parallel and they're on the same transversal, which is this guy. But the beauty of the SAT is you don't have to prove that. You don't have to explain why. You know instinctively that these two angles are probably going to be equal. Last but not least, we find angle 2 is also going to be 145 because it is also a corresponding angle with these two guys. And that is because these lines here are parallel as well, which means 145 is the winner. Done. If 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14, what is the value of 8x? Check it out. I'm going to turn this into an equation immediately. 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14. What is the value of 8x? I got an equation. Now we solve, no problemo. 10 plus 14 is 24 equals 16 plus 4x. Subtract 16 from both sides. Boom. 4x equals 24 minus 16, which is 8. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. X equals 2. But don't forget, I had to underline this. I should have boxed it. We're not trying to find x. We're trying to find 8x. 8 times 2 is therefore 16. C is the winner. Done. Which of the following graphs best shows a strong negative association between D and T, aka we're looking for something that resembles a line with a negative slope, meaning going down from left to right. This one's not bad, but it still looks a little all scattered about, so it's almost like there's no association. This one is not that negative association. That almost looks like a flat line, constant slope of 0. This one here looks like a positive slope, a positive association, and D is the nice one. D looks like a nice negative slope, which means D is the winner. Done. A painter will paint n walls with the same size and shape in a building using a specific brand of paint. The painter's fee can be calculated by the expression NKLH, where n is the number of walls, k is a constant with units of dollars per square foot, L is the length of each wall in feet, and h is the height of each wall in feet. If the customer asks the painter to use a more expensive brand of paint, which of the factors in the expression would change? So obviously this is not going to affect the height. This is not going to affect the length, and it's not going to affect the number of walls. All of those things are going to stay the same, right? That's not going to be changed by a more expensive brand of paint, which means that K is the only one that makes sense that would be modified. Now, this makes a lot of sense because if it's a number of dollars per square foot, well, if you're using a more expensive brand of paint, that makes sense. It's going to be more expensive per square foot. K, therefore, is the winner. Boom, done. If 3r equals 18, what is the value of 6r plus 3? So this is where you want to make sure to box what you're trying to find, because you could solve for r and accidentally put the wrong answer. So I'm boxing that. So I'm going to say 3r equals 18. I'm going to divide both sides by 3 straight up variable isolation, and r equals 6. Then I'm going to take that and plug it back in here. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3 gives me a value of 39. D is the winner. Done. Which of the following is equal to a to the 2/3 power for all values of a? This is about understanding how to convert back and forth between rational exponents and radical form. So what I always say is the lower number is the root and the upper number is the exponent. The numerator represents the exponent. So this is really a squared to the cubed root. Straight up, that means D is the winner. Done. The number of states that joined the United States between 1776 and 1849 is twice the number of states that joined between 1850 and 1900. If 30 states joined between 1776 and 1849, and X states joined between 1850 and 1900, which of the following equations is true? So we want to turn this into an equation, not necessarily even solve for X, just represent it. So it's saying this number between 1776 and 1849 is twice the number of states that joined between 1850 and 1900. You see, I've just merely expressed that in an equation. This is equal. 30 is 2 times x. Now we can solve for x, but we don't need to. So the equation that is exactly what we stated here is B. It's just they flip the sides. That doesn't matter. All good. Done. If 5 over x equals 15 over x plus 20, what is the value of x over 5? So check it out. Whenever I have a proportion like this, I'm going to just go straight into cross multiplication. Boom, boom. So 5 times x plus 20 is 5x plus 100, because the 5's got to multiply both components, equals 15 times x. Boom, nailed it. Okay, now we're going to solve for x. We're going to subtract 5x to combine like terms. Boom. And we've got 100 equals 10x. And don't forget, we need to box this so we don't forget to plug it back into here. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 10 like so, and x equals 100 divided by 10, which is 10. But don't circle 10. Don't fall for the bait. Plug it back in here. And then we get 10 over 5, which equals 2. C is the winner. Done. The graph above shows Marilyn's distance from her campsite during a 3-hour hike. She stopped for 30 minutes during her hike to have lunch. Based on the graph, which of the following is closest to the time she finished lunch and continued her hike? So where is it on this graph that I can see that somebody has probably stopped, meaning their distance is no longer changing? It's right here. This looks like that period where lunch is being had because the distance is staying exactly the same. So what time did she finish her lunch and continue the hike? It looks like right here, which is around, I'd say, 1:40. C is the winner. Done. The table above shows the distribution of age and gender for 25 people who entered a contest. If the contest winner will be selected at random, what is the probability that the winner will be either female under 40 or male 40 or older? So female under the age of 40 is right here, and male 40 or older is right here. Now, when they say either or, what does that mean? It means it could be either of those two. So I'm going to add those two. If it's an and, this would be a situation where you take the probabilities and you multiply them. Here, it's addition. So we're going to take 8 and we're going to take 2. Those two guys are going to be combined. and it's 8 plus 2 out of the total, which is 25. That gives me 10 out of 25, which means B is the winner. Done. The graph below shows the number of music album sales in millions each year from 1997 through 2009. Based on the graph, which of the following best describes the general trend in music album sales from 1997 to 2009? So I'm going to be really particular here because I want to understand the graph and then I want to apply what they're asking to the graph. So this is number of years from since 1997. So we want to start here. And 2009 is 12 years after, so it's this entire stretch. So I can tell you right now, if I look at this graph, it looks like it's kind of increasing up to the year 2000, right? 3 years after 1997. Then it's kind of decreasing all the way down until 2009, roughly like that, right? So let's see. Sales generally increased each year. I disagree with that because of what we just said. We can see decreasing there. Sales also did not generally decrease consistently after 1997. That's not correct. Check this out. Sales increased until 2000 and then generally decreased. That's exactly what we described when we were looking at the graph before. And then again, sales generally remained steady from 1997 through 2009. That would be like a horizontal line straight across. We don't see that. C is the winner. Done. The table above shows some values of the linear function f. Which of the following defines f? What I like to do in a question like this is I know they're saying it's a linear equation, so I want to calculate that linear equation by using point slope. Again, the function values are the same as the y values, so I can put a little y there. This is almost like the x values. So to get the slope, it would be the difference of the y's, so like 7 minus 4 over the difference of the x's. 4 minus 3. And notice we have to go in the same order, right to left for both of these. So that gives me a slope of 3 over 1 or 3. Now if I look at these equations, they're all in slope-intercept form. And I already know that the slope is 3. Well, there's only one with the slope of 3, so that means C has to be the answer. But I'm going to show you using point slope how we could verify this. So my point slope would be, I'm going to choose any coordinate. Why don't we just choose this one just for fun? So I'm going to say y minus 7, that y value, equals the slope times x minus 4, that corresponding x value. Then I'm going to distribute, y minus 7 equals 3x minus 12. Then I'm going to add 7 to both sides like so, and I get y, which is the same as the function of n, equals 3x, and the negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5. And there we have it, 3n minus 5. C is the winner. Done. At Lincoln High School, approximately 7% of enrolled juniors and 5% of enrolled seniors were inducted into the National Honor Society last year. If there were 562 juniors and 602 seniors enrolled at Lincoln High School last year, which of the following is closest to the total number of juniors and seniors at Lincoln High School last year who were inducted into the National Honor Society? So they said 7% of the juniors and 5% of the seniors. So I'm writing it like this because remember, when we take a percentage of something, we multiply it by its decimal equivalent. The decimal equivalent of 7% is 0.07. Decimal equivalent of 5% is 0.05. So all you got to do is do the multiplication and add these values up. Now, this is from the calculator section. You can use a calculator, of course, if you want. I'm just going to do it by hand. So we get 14, carry the 1, 42, 43, carry the 4, 35, and 39. Move the decimal spot 1, 2 to the left. Boom. Here we get 10, carry the 1. Boom. 5 times 6 is 30. Move it over 1, 2. So we got 30.1 plus 39.34, which gives me, boom, boom, 9, 6, about 69.44. 69 is the closest answer. B is the winner. Done. Which of the following is an equation of line L in the xy plane above? So I'm going to use what I know about slope-intercept form because all of these are pretty much in slope-intercept form with the exception of A, but that's because that represents a vertical line. So let's check it out. We have y equals, what's the slope of this line? Well, it's going up 1 over 1. That's 1 over 1, which means it's a slope of 1. So I'd have 1x. And then what's the y-intercept? It's right here at 1. So 1x plus 1, and I don't even need that 1, right? We could also say y equals x plus 1. That means D is the winner. Done. The circle above with center O has a circumference of 36. That is, again, the amount going all the way around. What is the length of minor arc AC? So minor arc AC is this little slice right here. Now, if they're saying the entire circumference is 36, we need to figure out AC. What is that as a fraction of 36? Well, it's really helpful that we've got this 90-degree angle because there's a formula for arc length. Arc length equals the measure of the central angle that cuts out the arc, which is 90, over the total amount of degrees in a circle, which is 360, times the circumference, which we know is 36. Now I have an equation. Now I can solve this, right? First of all, 90 over 360 reduces to 1/4. So all I got to do now is take 1/4 of 36, which gives me 9. A for the win. Done. What are the solutions of the quadratic equation 4x squared minus 8x minus 12 equals 0? So we got two ways that we can approach this, and I'll show you how to do it both ways. One, we can do it the standard way, factor out the GCF, then factor, and then find what values send this quadratic to 0. Or we could also plug and chug. But I'm going to show you the first way. First, where we do the old school method of factoring. I got a GCF. I can divide everything by 4. And since it's an equation, I'm just going to divide it. And the 4 is almost going to be thrown away into that 0. So it becomes x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Again, I got that by dividing everything by 4. Now I'm going to factor, and the question is, what values multiply to -3 and add to -2? Well, of course, that's -3 and +1. They multiply to -3 and they add to -2. That means my solutions are whatever values of x send this to 0, which are +3 and -1. And that is, of course, B for the win. But you can also plug and chug if need be, if you're not sure what to do here. So you can kind of go through these answer choices. Since we already know B is correct, let's just roll with that. So if I get 4 times -1 squared minus 8 times -1 minus 12, what is that? Well, -1 squared is 1 times 4 is 4. Plus 8, because the negatives cancel out, minus 12. That indeed is 0, so we know -1 is legit. Now let's try 3. So again, 4 times 3 squared minus 8 times 3 minus 12. This becomes 9 times 4 is 36, minus 8 times 3, which is 24, minus 12. 36 minus 24 is 12, minus 12 is indeed 0. Boom. Done. Which of the following is an example of a function whose graph in the xy plane has no x-intercepts? So something that doesn't have any x-intercepts is going to be something that never hits the x-axis. The only way that's going to happen for a linear function is if it's going to be horizontal. The only way it's going to happen for a quadratic is it's either going to be above, going up like this with a vertex above the x-axis, or below, going down like this. So these are just some examples of where you're going to have, if this is the x-axis, you're going to have no x-intercepts. Okay, this is saying a linear function whose rate of change is not 0, but we just said the slope or the rate of change has to be 0 for it to have no x-intercepts, so this is out. A quadratic function with real zeros, a real 0 is literally where it intersects the x-axis, so that is contradictory to what we're trying to find. That is out. A quadratic function with no real zeros, that's what we drew up here and down here. That is legit, so C is the one. A cubic polynomial with at least one real zero. Again, when it says one real zero, it's saying one x-intercept, so that is, of course, a violation. D is out, C is the winner, done. In the equation above, K is a constant. If x equals 9, what is the value of K? All we're going to do is plug and chug. They give us a value, we're going to put it in, and then solve for K. Square root of K plus 2 minus 9 equals 0. Then we're going to isolate the radical. Boom. K plus 2. Add 9 to both sides, we get 9. Then I'm going to square both sides, right? Because I need to get rid of that square root. Squaring it is the opposite. So now I get k plus 2 equals 9 squared, which is 81. Last but not least, let's subtract 2 from both sides, and k equals 79 for the win. According to the line graph above, between which two consecutive years was there the greatest change in the number of 3D movies released? So before I even look at the answers, I can see that the greatest change is definitely occurring from 2010 to 2011 because it's the biggest jump vertically. Lo and behold, 2010 to 2011 is D. Boom, done. Some values of the linear function f are shown in the table above. Which of the following defines f? Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the slope of our function because they're giving us the coordinates. And remember, f of x, that's function notation, but that's the same as y. So we're going to take the difference of the y's over the difference of the x's. So it's 5 minus 13 over 1 minus 3. 5 minus 13 is, of course, negative 8. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. That gives me a slope of 4. Well, the only equation with a slope of 4 is c. So c has got to be the winner. But we're going to verify just in case. So I'm going to plug 1 in. Do I get 5? Yes, I do. Plug 3 in. I get 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Plug 5 in. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1 is 21. Double verified. Done. To make a bakery's signature chocolate muffins, a baker needs 2.5 ounces of chocolate for each muffin. How many pounds, notice how they underline it for you, of chocolate are needed to make 48 signature chocolate muffins? This is a perfect question for a proportion. So I'm going to start it off like this. We've got ounces to muffins. So it says we've got 2.5 ounces for one muffin, and we want to know how much chocolate there is needed for 48. So we're going to put an X up here. But remember, what we're about to solve for is ounces. We then need to convert it to pounds. Cross multiply, X equals 2.5 times 48. You can do it mentally. 2 times 48 is 96. And then plus a half of 48, which is 24, that gives you 120. Now we need to convert this to pounds. So how do I do that? I divide this by 16, right? 16 ounces is 1 pound, 32 is 2, etc., etc. 16 goes into 120 7.5 times, right? 7 times 16 is 112, plus half of 16 is 8. That gives me to 120. A is the winner. Done. If 3 times c plus d equals 5, what is the value of c plus d? Now, I don't want to make this too hard on myself because we can't solve for c and can't solve for d, and I'm not even going to go down that path because it's going to lead nowhere. But this is beautiful. Look, all I got to do to isolate c plus d is divide both sides by 3. Check it out. And when I do that, I get c plus d equals 5/3. One and done. B is the winner. That's it. The weight of an object on Venus is approximately 9/10 of its weight on Earth. The weight of an object on Jupiter is approximately 23/10 of its weight on Earth. If an object weighs 100 pounds on Earth, approximately how many more pounds does it weigh on Jupiter than it weighs on Venus? Okay, so I know it's 100 pounds on Earth. To convert it to its Venus weight, I've got to take 9/10 of it, right? So 9/10 of 100 is going to give me 90. To get its weight on Jupiter, I got to take 23/10 of it, right? That word of is basically synonymous with multiply. 23/10 of 100. It's like you divide it by 10, which is 10 times 23 is 230. So what's the difference? How much more? So I do 230 minus 90. I'll write it out for you like so. Boom, 0. 13 minus 9 is 4, 1, 140, C for the win, done. Salim wants to purchase tickets from a vendor to watch a tennis match. The vendor charges a one-time service fee for processing the purchase of the tickets. The equation T equals 15N plus 12 represents the total amount T in dollars Salim will pay for N tickets. What does 12 represent in the equation? So we're talking about a linear equation. There's two parts. There's the slope, which is the rate of change. In this case, is probably the cost per ticket. And then we've got the y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is the initial value, the one and done thing. Well, that probably means that in this case, for this one-time service fee, we're paying it once and then we're done. That's probably represented by that 12. That means B is the winner, the amount of service fee in dollars, done. A gardener buys two kinds of fertilizer. Fertilizer A contains 60% filler material by weight, and B contains 40% filler material by weight. Together, the fertilizers bought by the gardener contain 240 filler materials. Which equation models this relationship where X is the number of pounds of fertilizer A and Y is the number of pounds of fertilizer B? So first off, I need to get an expression that represents the amount of filler materials in A. So since X is the total amount of A, 60% of X is filler material. Again, I'm representing that in its decimal equivalent form, 0.6X. Cool. Same with B. Y would be the total amount of B. 40% of that, aka 0.4 times y, is the filler materials in B. The two together equal a total of 240 pounds of filler material. Guess what? I got my equation. Now I just got to match it. The only one that matches it is B. Boom, done. What is the sum of the complex numbers 2 plus 3i and 4 plus 8i? Now, we don't really have to worry about this too much. What I say in these types of problems is you just treat I like it's a variable, like x. So 2 plus 3i plus 4 plus 8i, and we've got like terms there and like terms here. 2 plus 4 is 6. 3i plus 8i is 11i. C is the winner. Done. In the equation above, P and T are constants. Which of the following could be the value of P? Immediately, I'm just going to FOIL the right side and simplify it. That's the instinct that you want to have when dealing with quadratics. So the left side is still this. And over here, we get px times px, which is p squared x squared, minus tpx plus tpx. And then t times negative t is minus t squared. Now you notice these guys are opposites of each other, which means they're just going to cancel out. Now I have 4x squared minus 9 equals p squared x squared minus t squared. These two sides are equivalent, so I can clearly see that these match up. So t is obviously 3. That's cool. And then these guys match up. I don't care about t. I'm trying to figure out what p is. So the question is, what squared is going to give me 4? Well, of course, it's 2 squared is 4. So p equals 2. A is the winner. Done. Which of the following is the graph of the equation y equals 2x minus 5 in the xy plane? Well, check it out. We got the two most important parts of a linear equation, the y-intercept, right, that constant, and the slope, a slope of positive 2. This is a negative slope, so b is out. Which one has the right y-intercept? Well, b did, but it's out. A has a y-intercept of 2.5, right, because here's 5. We need a negative 5. A is out. This one has an intercept of positive 5. That's out as well. So D is the answer by process of elimination, but let's just verify. Here's my nice y-intercept of negative 5. Does it have the right slope? Let's see. It goes up 2 over 1. That's a slope of 2 over 1, or 2. D is the winner. Done. Which expression is equivalent to 2x squared minus 4 minus negative 3x squared plus 2x minus 7? First things first, I got parentheses and a minus, so I need to distribute that like so. The first part has nothing in front of it, so I'm just going to destroy those parentheses. Boom. Negative times negative 3x squared is positive 3x squared. To distribute that negative becomes minus 2x. Distribute that negative, it becomes plus 7. Now we're going to combine those like terms and combine these like terms. 2x squared plus 3x squared is 5x squared. Negative 4 plus 7 is 3. We'll put it out there. And then negative 2x has nothing, so it just stays negative 2x. So our answer is, of course, A for the win. Done. The graph above shows the positions of Paul and Mark during a race. Paul and Mark each ran at a constant rate, and Mark was given a head start to shorten the distance he needed to run. Paul finished the race in 6 seconds. You can see this is the 6 seconds right here. And Mark finished the race in 10 seconds right here. According to the graph, Mark was given a head start of how many yards? Again, the head start means the starting position, aka y-intercept. That's what we're talking about. What is the y-intercept for Mark? Well, it's right here. It's not marked, but it's this value right here. And it's looking like this is incrementing by 6. So 6, 12, what's 12 plus 6? That would be 18 would be the amount of the head start. So that would be C for the win. Done. Snow fell and then stopped for a time. When the snow began to fall again, it fell at a faster rate than it had initially. Assuming that none of the snow melted during the time indicated, which of the following graphs could model the total accumulation of snow versus time? So if I were to graph this on my own, I'd be like, okay, the snow is kind of falling, boom. And then it says it stops and it just chills and nothing melted, right? So it's just going to stay the same for a while. And then when it begins again, it's going to begin at a faster rate, aka a steeper slope. So that's my approximation. Well, guess what? That pretty much looks like A, so we're going to circle that. Let's go through these other ones. This one, it looks like it's falling at a faster rate, then stops, and then a slower rate. That's not what they're describing. For C, it's falling at a certain rate, staying the same, and then it's melting. It's going away, so that's out as well. And for D, this is just a constant rate of accumulation. That's not being described either, which means A is the winner. Done. A website hosting service charges businesses a one-time setup fee of $350 plus D dollars for each month. If a business owner paid $1,010 for the first 12 months, including the setup fee, what is the value of D? So check it out. We're going to put this into an equation format. 1,010 is equal to this one-time setup fee of $350 plus D dollars per month. But how many months are there? They said for 12 months. So what are we trying to find? We're trying to find the value of D. We got an equation. Let's go with isolation. We're going to subtract 350 from both sides to begin with. That gives me 660 equals 12D. I'm just changing the order, but it's all good either way. Then we're going to divide both sides by 12 to further isolate. Boom. 12 goes into 650 times, goes into 65 times, so I can do that mentally. D equals 55, and D is actually the answer as well. Boom, done. Which of the following inequalities is equivalent to the inequality above? So my first instinct when I look at this, even before I look at any of the answer choices, I want to simplify, simplify, simplify. So these all are divisible by 3. That's amazing. So why don't I just divide everything by 3 to start with? So I get 2x minus 3y is greater than 4. Now, if we're lucky, this exact inequality will be there. If not, maybe we got to make some additional modifications. But we are lucky. 2x minus 3y is greater than 4 is there. And I just want to emphasize again, if you have these basic principles of like, I see something and I'm just going to try and simplify it. I'm going to FOIL it if it's factored. I'm going to factor it if it's FOILed. A lot of times when you follow those basic steps, you don't have to think too much. You don't have to go through the answer choices in detail. The answer will emerge. B is the winner. That's it. Boom, done. All right, guys, that is it for this series of easy SAT math questions. I hope it gives you a nice precursor for anybody who's just starting their journey. And by the way, if you do want to check out our medium level questions, if you're ready for it, you should do that. Link is above. Or you can check out the hard level questions after that if you want to really go for the gold. Once again, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to check out our SAT math course. It's the best out there. 4 amazing practice tests with custom video explanations for everything. This material is not found anywhere else. So if you want fresh practice tests, really, really solid video explanations, make sure to click in the description link below to check that out. And by the way, you can sign up and cancel whenever you want. It's a monthly subscription fee. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.